Welcome back to The Explainer. If you're a focused learner looking to just, cut through all the noise and get straight to the core of how we actually make our choices, well, you're in exactly the right place. Today, we're taking a deep dive into an incredibly brief, yet honestly, profoundly impactful piece of source material. It's titled The Calculus of Chance and Risk. We're literally going to examine just one single sentence today. But let me tell you, this one sentence, it packs enough psychological weight to completely reframe how you understand your own past, present, and future. We're going to unpack the whole shebang piece by piece.
We generally overestimate the risk and underestimate the power of luck. Just let that sit for a second. It sounds super simple on the surface, right? But the implications hidden within these words dictate almost every single move we make. This single line from our source material is basically a philosophical riddle that we're going to solve together today. It exposes this massive flaw in our mental wiring, like an actual distortion in how we process reality itself.
Okay, let's dive into this. Look at the title of the source text, The Calculus of Chance and Risk. Now don't worry, we aren't talking about advanced math here. No pop quizzes. Calculus, in this context, is the continuous, internal weighing of chance, risks, and outcomes in our daily lives. It's that constant, invisible balancing act your brain performs every single time you decide to take a new job, cross a busy street, or make an investment. We are always running this calculus. But our source text is trying to tell us that, well, our math is fundamentally wrong.
Section 1. Overestimating our risks. The illusion of danger.
Our minds are constantly scanning the horizon, looking for what could go wrong, anticipating the drop, waiting for the impact. And notice the sheer semantic gravity of the word generally right before overestimate the risk. The author doesn't say we sometimes overestimate risk, or that we just do it in certain specific situations. We generally do it. This implies it's basically a default state of human nature. Our baseline operating system is hardwired to look at a situation and immediately inflate the negative possibilities.
So, I want to ask you directly, why do we generally overestimate? Think about your own life for a moment. Think about a recent decision where you felt totally paralyzed. How did you magnify the danger in your own mind? Our source points out that we don't just see risk, we actively build it up. We take the raw data of our environment and we apply this terrifying filter to it. Here's the logical progression of our flawed internal math. Step 1, we perceive a neutral situation. Step 2, we inflate the potential danger, blowing it completely out of proportion. And then, crucially, step 3, we act, or actually, more often than not, we freeze and fail to act, based not on reality, but on that magnified risk. Our minds literally create a powerful illusion of danger that simply isn't validated by the actual calculus of the situation.
All right, moving on to Section 2. Underestimating hidden luck. The blind spot.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that if the first half of the equation is heavy, tense, and grounded in fear, the second half is entirely different. It's smooth, light, airy, and pretty much invisible. We're moving from the loud alarms of perceived risk to the quiet, almost whimsical nature of chance. And notice the specific use of the word power here. The source doesn't just say we underestimate luck, it says we underestimate the power of luck. Luck isn't just some passive, floating concept. In this framework, it's an active, formidable force. It has real energy. It has the ability to move the needle of our lives, yet our calculus completely fails to account for its true weight.
So we have to ask, what is the true power of luck? If it possesses such immense power, why is it our collective blind spot? Well, luck operates silently behind the scenes. It's the right place, the right time, the random encounter, the unearned advantage. And because it doesn't shout at us the way fear and risk do, we simply leave it out of our mental equations.
Look at the implications of underestimating this force. We ignore our invisible advantages. We naturally love to write luck entirely out of our own narratives, don't we? Because it makes us feel a profound sense of control. When we succeed, we want to believe it was 100% our own doing. We dismiss chance as a meaningless factor just to protect our egos, completely blinding ourselves to the reality of the calculus.
Section 3. Rethinking our reality. The final calculus.
And this brilliantly illustrates the opposing forces coming together. Deep within our psychology, there's this constant tug-of-war happening. On the left side, risk is magnified, appearing far larger than reality and aggressively demanding our attention. On the right, luck is diminished, invisible, and operating quietly in the background. Our internal scales are fundamentally broken. One side is artificially weighted down with anxiety, while the other side is artificially lightened by our own egos.
There is such a stark contrast between how we think the world works and objective reality. Our perception tells us risk is huge and imposing. Reality dictates it's actually much smaller than we think. Our perception tells us luck is small, or that all good fortune is simply earned through our own hard work. The reality, it is a massive, unacknowledged power shaping our outcomes.
So the crucial point is, we're brought right back to where we started. We generally overestimate the risk and underestimate the power of luck. But now, this isn't just a clever observation. It's a warning. A warning about how our internal biases distort the world, keeping us afraid of shadows while blinding us to the hidden winds actually pushing our sails.
Which leaves us with this final, vital question to ponder. How will you recalculate your past decisions based on this new calculus? When you look back at your failures, were the risks really that high? When you look at your triumphs, are you finally willing to acknowledge the quiet power of luck? Recalibrate your scales the next time you face a major choice. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and as always, keep learning.